Hey, good afternoon, Volkswagen Northeast Region Dealers. John Peterson here, Director of After Sales. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We've got a great lineup. Before we get to the lineup, let me flip to the next slide. And here's how you ask questions. So you just go to the upper right there. You can see the arrow. Click on the question box. It'll populate. And pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We've been using Teams for the last couple of meetings, and we'll follow through with that. So on the next slide, I'm going to hit the agenda at a high level. And so, hey, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to move efficiently through the slides. We're going to have the energy, enthusiasm, and the excitement that's needed for today. We develop the content with them. What's in it for me, or candidly, what's in it for you guys? We've got a great lineup of additional folks to support as well, based upon what you're telling us you want to hear about. So Patrick Coyle is going to talk about sales. We've got Victor Martinez with after sales marketing. Joe Kissinger from the region, from the RDC and the PDC, is going to talk about parts deliveries, and he'll be available for the Q&A. Scott Weitzman is going to talk about what's going on with the academy, what's going on with learning centers, what's going on with the apprentice program. So all of these folks are going to be available for you during the question and answer. We know that's always a very popular session. You can see the screen. I'm not going to read down through it. So with that, you'll also get a deck in the end, and I'm going to hand it over to Patrick Coyle, and he's going to kick us off with what's going on in sales. Patrick.
Okay, cool. Thanks, John. Hey, everybody. Hey, just wanted to jump on myself here and just say thank you to everybody. We're doing great, right? The brand's doing great. The region's doing great, and it feels so good to be back. You know, the region's up, over 4% share now on a competitive set, and we're up over 30%. Year to date. So we've grown a 1% share, and we're bucking the trend of the industry overall. And this month we're jamming again this month. So thank you for that. I mean, our share is all the way up to 4.6% as a region, this month, and our sales are up, over 40%. So gang, it's working, right? We got product now. We got the right product. We got the incentives, right? Got the best programs in the industry with a 0% on Tiguan. No one's even close to that. And we got promotion, right? We got the 75th year anniversary campaign out there, and we're going to keep this party going. Wait till you see what's in store for you in March, May, June, right? We're going to keep the party going. We're going to shift some focus to Taos and Jetta, but we're going to have killer offers, right? So it's time to go. Our share, just to remind you, back before COVID, this region was huge. We were 28% of the nation's business, and we were rocking on all levels. You all know about the circle of pain. You lived it with me. We got down to 21% of the nation's business, as of February of 23. So we hit a low point, and now we've been building it back so well, right? We're at 27% in March. We achieved over 33% of the Tiguan business last month, and we're growing that again here in the month of April. So thank you so much. Hang in there, because we're jamming. And remember, the way you make money with this brand, okay, is one, because of all of you, right? The after sales business and what jams it for our brand. So those of you that jam your after sales business and you have absorption at 60% and above, you're doing great. The dealership's making money, and off you go, right? So that's got to be the foundation of this brand, is strong after sales. Second, you got to have decent used cars, right? It's a key piece of everybody's business is used cars. And then the third element is volume on the new car side. Throughput. Remind everybody how our margin structure is. We have more back-end margin, less front-end margin than other brands out there. So the way you make money with this brand is throughput. Take the transaction trade, take the delivery allowance, take the fuel and floor plan. There's 8% back there, right? So go take it all and put volume on the road, grab some units in operation, grab some units, some great trades, and let's go, right? So the goal is to keep producing cars, gang, and keep good offers in the marketplace. We just built 100,000 in Q1. We're going to build 110,000 this quarter, 132,000 in Q3, and we finished with 120,000. So we're producing. We're going to keep producing the right stuff, and we're going to keep incentivizing. So spend your co-op, put your best foot forward, and let's grow some share, and let's grow our business, okay? So I'm going to stick around, watch, and support my after-sales friends here, and I'll be on for Q&A at the end here as well. So with that, John, back over to you. And one last thank you to all of you out there. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Patrick. Guys, let's look at the very first slide, which are the 8 KPIs that we look at the most. So red and green, right? I mean, it's all about if we're in the green, we're doing well. You can see customer experience. Again, will not read this to you. The region, however, you're doing fantastic with Net Promoter Score ranked #1. Parts sales out in the workshop, we actually are up. After sales marketing, 98% dealer participation, 31 mil in region campaigns, DIA, $117 a car. We're struggling a little bit there on the monthly basis, but overall, you can see we're still north of 100. Tech readiness, Scott Weitzman's going to talk about that when his turn is up. An area we're struggling with, customer pay repair orders. This one's a little volatile. We look at tire purchases more because that's actually a good solid number. We know that when we look at customer pay repair orders, it depends upon when they're closed out, when they're submitted. But right now, yeah, we are down about 4%. Tires, for argument's sake, we're flat, about 1% down. But year to date, I think we're right there flat. Brand service market share down about 0.6 of a point. Care penetration is up a little bit. And then something that is new this year is CarNet lead conversion. We're going to spend more time on that. We've got the folks from the CarNet team. They're going to be giving us a good, thorough overview of how they cleaned that up a lot. We know there's been some pain there in the past, and we're going to get more information out to you on that. So let's take a look at the next slide. We're going to break down repair orders by type. The very first one there is customer pay. So it's 12 months, right? We're looking at January through December, month in, month out. Year to date, customer pay repair orders, the lines kind of follow themselves. We're down 4%, what I just talked about, 3.94. Internal. So, hey, what did Patrick just talk about? Volume is up as far as production. Volume is up as far as shipments. Volume is up as far as new vehicle sales. And with new vehicle sales comes used vehicles and internal repair orders. So nice bump there in internal repair orders, up 21%. Warranty repair orders down 12%, and overall total is up 3%. So another chart on the next slide that I absolutely love are tires. And you can see that we're looking year over year. We're in April right now, buy 3, get 1. You can see the dark blue line, which is 2024, where we are in relation to last year. And remember, last year we had buy 3. We had a summer flash sale. I don't know that we'll be doing that, but I think there will be something coming in June that we'll be able to talk about here in a few weeks. And then in October, again, we looked at buy 3, get 1, and then there was another flash sale last year. So this looks at purchases of tires, which is fantastic because we know that they're static numbers, and we just think that if you get the vehicle in the shop, you can get it up in the air, and you get a wheel off and look at the tires, then there's a lot of additional opportunity there. So moving along to the next slide, we're going to recognize those dealers that are doing well. Those dealers that are doing well in parts, DIA, and MDO. Not going to read down through the list. I'll take the top 3. Brunswick, Beans, and Garnett doing well with retail parts. And those are purchases. When you look at dealer installed accessories, our friends of Garvey in Queensbury, New York, absolutely crushing it there, doing a great job year in and year out, followed by Brunswick and by Quirk. And with MDO, it's Volkswagen of Huntington, Douglas in Summit, New Jersey, and then Neil and his friends there at Rydell of Edison. So the top 10% or the top 20 per category are listed there. If your name's in there, congratulations, great job. Let's take a look at the next slide. We're going to look at tires, oil, and batteries. Name Douglas popped up here again, so great job to Egon and his team. North Penn, George, Ken Benton, absolutely fantastic job what you're doing. And then let's go over to Massachusetts, the Boston market. Our friends from Kelly Volkswagen, great job there. Oil, it's Brunswick. And then we'll move over, staying in the great state of Ohio, and we're going to go to MAG in the Columbus market, and then Volkswagen of Old Saybrook in Connecticut. When you get into batteries, it's Piazza Ardmore, Douglas name again, 3 out of 6 categories, and then North Penn, 2 out of 6 categories. So great job. Again, top 20, top 10% of the region recognized there. So let's take a look and move pretty quickly to the next slide. We're now looking at customer satisfaction, the top positive impact dealers. Folks, we can't rank them, so they're not in any order here. It is purely random. But again, it's the top 10% or the top 20 dealers. Your name's on the list. Congratulations. It talks about what you're doing and what your customers are saying about the service that you're delivering. So again, we'll get the deck out to everybody. You'll see your name, and and we can move from there. Let's take a look at the next slide, fixed right the first time. What we heard Dave Durant and what we heard the folks from JD Power talk about last Friday, one of the biggest areas of opportunity for the brand is with fixed right the first time. Well, here's 20 dealers that are absolutely crushing it and doing a great job there with fixed right the first time. So again, thank you and congrats for all that you're doing there. Okay, from there, I moved quickly through what we're doing with the business in Q1 into now let's talk about customer satisfaction. And then what do we have as far as dealership employee incentive? So on the next slide, what Dave and the folks, Rachel, shared with us last week is, hey, listen, there's 10 key performance indicators for customer satisfaction. Again, not going to read them to you, but you can see that several of them impact the service advisor. There's 4 of the 10. Vehicle pickup is 2. The overall service facility, is it cleaner than expected, is in there as well. And then you can see the service quality rounds it out with 3 of the 10. So we talked about fixed rate the first time. You can see where the region is performing. So overall, the region has outperformed the others, but candidly, as a brand, we know that we have not and keeping up with the mass market. So what we're going to see when we take a look at the next slide are some of the things that we can do to improve that. And you can see on the left-hand side, the gap analysis between the bottom 5 attributes versus Volkswagen. Again, you've got the advisor there with a couple, and then service pickup for 2, and then quality is in there. The 2 areas of opportunity, all work completed right the first time. So again, fixed right the first time. Dealership cleaner than expected. Folks really got to have you take a look, make sure that your stores are in good shape. Listen, even an older facility can be clean and well represented. And then something that's pretty positive is that the vehicle settings are returned to the same as when the service began. As there's more and more personalization that happens with our vehicles, it's no longer just radio settings. Getting these things set back to where the customer had it when they took the time and originally set up or programmed their vehicle, absolutely huge. So there's some of the data from JD Power. We said, okay, if that's the data, what can we do about it? So on the next slide, we're going to talk about customer obsession. And this is something that are actually some of the takeaways from the presentation, is that you can minimize the wait time, boost service quality. You can see we're 18 out of 18 and fixed right the first time. Wait time is 17 out of 18. Make training a priority. We heard loud and clear. So RDAC, NDAC, the National Dealer Advisory Council, met 2 weeks ago with Andrew and Hein and Durant and Rachel Zalusik, talked a lot about what can happen with customer satisfaction, where we're at. And one thing that RDAC asked for was additional training for service consultants on how to show more empathy, how to be further engaged with customers, and what more can we do there. So make training a priority was an absolute key for us. And then the last one was, hey, use the 5 keys to customer obsession. And that's where on this next slide, we're going to see that these are the 5 keys to customer obsession: prompt greeting, proactive communication throughout. Are we doing the 2-way texting? Customers want to do the texting. They're not looking for the phone calls. Are you using technology? Is a tablet in the drive? Are you using tech video? Are you doing video MPIs? Are you sending that information to customers? A video from a technician sells the service, and a video from the technician helps build trust. And so please make sure that we're engaged and involved in doing some type of technology with our customer. And then the next 2, the vehicle's clean and returned with the original settings, and then escorted to the customer. Or I'm sorry, the customer is escorted to the vehicle. Next slide, please. And so here, talk about building the brand essentials. This is a slide that shows where we can get some of the training. So there's some in-dealership training we can do with service coaches. We're also looking at doing some stuff with Dealer Tire. Last June, we had Dealer Tire in Allendale. There was 27 service consultants that came from Buffalo, from Maine, from Ohio, and certainly in the tri-state area. Went through a great customer satisfaction interaction on the service drive walk around process. We're going to be doing that again this year. We're going to have it in a few different locations. But here, what's available, and this is what our actually National Dealer Advisory Council asked for, is what do you have that's available today? And this is what's available online. You can see the links that are there for customer obsession. There's some videos, short, quick videos. There's some cup series that is out there. There's some animated stories that are there as well. So the bottom line is there is a lot of good stuff that's available to your service consultants online, as well as what we're going to be offering here in the near future with Dealer Tire. So that takes me to the next slide saying, hey, listen, what is it that we're doing to assist you, and our suppliers are doing as well? So whether it's Chemcrest or Dealer Tire or Interstate, what is it that they're doing to recognize and provide incentives to the service consultants or technicians? And you can see on the top, those go January through December. We've got the parts performance bonus, accessory bonus, AIM, Dealer Tire with Tire Pro, and then the ones that start and stop throughout the year. So Victor did a great job of taking and putting this together, just like we do our after sales marketing calendar, to say, hey, listen, there is always something that's out there and available, again, for you to get the 3 E's into your store, into your service consultants, into the techs, and make sure that, they're doing everything that's possible in which to present the offer to the customer and to close the sale. So I know early next month, I think it's May 7th or 8th, 6 dealers from the Northeast region won the Continental Uvalde challenge and are going to be going to Uvalde, Texas, doing some hot laps around their test track. And it's just something they do every year, and it's absolutely a fantastic event. So with that, I've moved pretty quick, and I'm going to hand it over to my friend Victor Martinez, and he's going to talk about after sales marketing. Victor.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to take a few minutes to just touch upon after sales marketing, since the majority of the Northeast region is actively engaged in this. I think John pointed it out a little earlier, about 98% of it, of the network. So when you think about how we go to market, we obviously leverage all the different tiers that are available, national, regional, and even down at the dealer level. From a national perspective, obviously key programs are the cornerstone of us staying engaged with our customers, customer retention communication program, the national service promotions that go out every quarter. Buy three, get one is a huge impact for the Northeast region. We get a monster lift from this. So again, make sure you're engaging with that. Make sure you know who you're going after. We also deployed a couple other added value marketing communications, one around batteries, another one that's on online service scheduling. So again, these are the creature comfort tools that the customers like to use to engage with us. We just need to make sure that we're speaking to them in the right sense. From a regional perspective, prepaid maintenance, huge investment from the brand, obviously to keep every customer that we have. We have the spring's seasonal savings communication that's going out, again, designed to give you a little bit of flexibility in terms of how you steer those customers and those repairs. Down at your level, at the dealer level, right? Thinking through what else can I do on my end? Obviously looking at marketing IQ reporting. You don't need to guess what opportunities are out there. We actually give it to you every single day. Smart campaigns marry the customers together. So it's just a matter of determining who you want to go after. Loyal customers at risk, I'll talk about that here in a moment, is going to be a huge focus, not only for you, but for us. Newly assigned customers, I often get the question, how do I help grow my business? We're actually giving this to you every single day. So make sure you're looking at the reporting. On the right-hand side, tied into this idea of not guessing, every single promotion that we deploy, there is a customer list. You can look at the list. You can leverage internal resources, BDCs, other resources that you might have to certainly follow up. So again, they're your customers. You've earned them. Take advantage of them. On the footer, you see the path on how you can get to the call list. If you're not familiar with it, if you get stuck, by all means, feel free to reach out. On the next slide, what I want to start doing is giving you a preview of what we're working on for the second half of 2024. Patrick talked about the momentum that we're getting with the number of vehicles that we're selling, and obviously that's going to serve us as we get into Q4 and into 2025. How do we keep that momentum going? How do we bridge the gap? So we're going to complement a lot of what we have in market today, starting with older vehicles. Our current plan is a 10-year plan. We're going to attach some more vehicles to that with the idea of helping to generate more cash flow and ultimately potentially flip those customers out of those vehicles into newer vehicles and start that ownership cycle all over again. On top of that, we're going to focus on loyal customers at risk. This is a really directly speaks to cash flow, right? These customers normally service once a year. We want to make sure that that cadence remains. So we're going to put something in place for them. And then with the ID4, given the fact that we've now got 4 model years under our belt with this vehicle, and we've got Buzz and ID7 coming down the road, we want to take the learnings from that and ultimately be able to better serve those customers when they start coming through the network. So we're going to put something in motion here, second half of the year, leverage that to ultimately catapult us forward. This is really at a high level. On the next slide, we'll be back in about 3 weeks to break all of this down. I'll share with you some performance data. I'll also get a little more specific in terms of recommendations for the area, things that you guys can focus in on. So I look forward to that. Meeting invitation will be going out shortly. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott to have him give us an update on the Academy. Scott, take it away.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks, John, for inviting me. Greetings, Northeast region. I feel at home here. I am a native New Yorker, and I generally try to slow my pace down, but everybody's moving really fast here. You won't have any slides to follow because I did not submit any. I'm going to give you some headlines as to what's going on in the Academy, as John had mentioned earlier, and then talk about some other details where I can. One of the things that's happening very soon here in the headquarters of Volkswagen in Reston, Virginia, is the second apprentice graduation ceremony that we've had since we've reconstituted and relaunched the apprentice program for techs back last year. We had really great response to the first wave. I think we had about 50 or 60 new apprentice technicians in that program. Coming up here on May 16th for the ceremony, we'll have about 150. So the program's been embraced really well across the nation. The Northeast region dealers comprise about 30% of those apprentice techs that are going to be in the program here, and we're going to hope to put on the Ritz for them as much as we can here at VW, give them a great experience. As I said, we had some really great feedback from the last ceremony that we did back in the third quarter of last year. So that's something that's happening. There's just some high-level statistics. The Northeast region, tech readiness, 79% of the dealerships in the Northeast are tech ready already, which is awesome. You know, our typical goal is 80-85%. We're looking pretty good there. In the region, 97% of the dealers have at least one HVT trained technician, which is awesome. A little bit less is the number of dealerships with an HVE trained technician. That's 76%, but still some pretty good numbers out there. The dealerships being engaged, getting more engaged, and hopefully we're providing enough training out there to ensure that your folks can get into the classes. Touching back a little bit on the CSI conversation, and John, again, flip through those slides in fast progression. I was, along with Patrick Hoyle, we were at the National Dealer Advisory Council meeting here in Reston a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of conversation obviously around the J.D. Power syndicated research, and a lot of conversation around service consultant training in particular, or service consultants in general. But we've kind of been a little bit ahead of the curve, I believe, in the context of soft skills and selling skills. We've got some new classes out there. Maybe your folks have taken them, maybe you have, maybe you haven't seen them, but I'd encourage you to get into the CRC, the Certification Resource Center, where these classes through the path for service advisors are resident. We've got one that's a web-based training called Building Trust in the Service Lane. There's a second part to that that's coming out in the next couple of weeks as well. Again, specifically focused on the soft skills, right, of the service advisors, which was really probably, you know, the point that came through in the J.D. Power research. Another class that we have that's an instructor-led training is called Professional Selling and After Skills. It was another topic at the dealer council meeting also, and something that we're getting ahead of. We're in the midst of we have a vendor that we've been using the last few years that assists us with some of the development of curriculum and the paths for service advisors in particular and after sales training. That vendor had been MSXI most recently. We're going to be shifting back to a vendor we used some years ago. Really looking forward to that. And again, with a focus, I say again, I didn't say it the first time, but something that Dave Durant and I and our teams have been discussing with regard to customer sat in service, which is getting back to basics. And that's really what we want to do. And these classes that we're developing and the curriculum and the paths for service advisors in particular, we're really looking at getting back to basics and making sure that we can communicate all of the important items related to establishing relationships with customers, building upon those relationships so that we can have a great experience in the service lane. That's what I've got on the whole for training. I know that there's a lot of discussion and concern across the board. We had this discussion as well at the NDAC meeting around the learning centers and the announcements that we made earlier. We've closed one learning center. Some of you may realize in Jessup, Maryland, we're in the middle of decommissioning that. The good news is it's taking much longer and it's much slower than we thought, which means it'll be longer and slower until we get to any of the other learning centers that we're going to address. I can't give you guys firm timelines because it's just a fluid process, but we've got a pretty solid plan, I believe, that I shared with the NDAC that kind of covers, three basic kind of thrusts. One of them is to reallocate resources. We're putting more capacity in the existing learning centers. We've already put an additional tech training cell in Allendale, New Jersey. We're in the midst of finding an additional instructor there. We're going to put another cell in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. We've got another cell in Davie, Florida. I know these aren't exactly around the corner for everybody, but they're the centers we have left. And that part of our strategy is to build more capacity in the existing centers, as well as partnering with local technical schools across the country so that we can fill in the gaps and the locations that we might be abandoning sometime down the road. So with that, I think I've probably overstayed my 3-minute allocation. So I will turn it over to Brian Ali, and I'll be here for questions here as we flow through the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate your time. Good afternoon, team. I wanted to start by talking about our brake pad and rotor flash sale that we just completed. About a third of you participated, and we'll be earning up to 12.5% discount on the brake pads and rotors. We're going to start shipping those out to you next month and into June. And I just wanted to talk about some ways to create some additional sales. Now's a good time to start thinking about running a brake special. In addition to some of the national promotions that Victor talked about, you can use the on-demand templates in Marketing IQ. There's a sample there of a brake promotion that you can be doing. Offering flexible payments like Sunbit is another way that dealers can bolster sales. It's an excellent way that it is quick and easy for dealers, and it gives the customer another reason to say yes to the sale. And it's something that you can incorporate into your marketing as well. This is also a great time to remind service consultants and technicians about the miles that they can earn for selling commodities like brakes and tires. Those next gen miles are redeemable for merchandise and gift cards, of course, in the next gen portal. Speaking of tires, April is one of our biggest months for tire sales, and we're in the final week of the dealer tire buy 3 get 1 promotion. Sales have been strong, so let's do what we can to take advantage of these last few days by ensuring we're checking each vehicle and talking to every customer about their tires. Please be sure to get your claims in by May 7th. We do give you back 50% of the cost of the 4th tire, but you do have to get those claims in by the 7th. And finally, here we have new VW tire store displays that we offer for you here. It's a great way to show customers that you're in the tire business. These look great and would fit anywhere in the store. You need to order them up by May 15th, and you can actually use those points plus points that you earn in dealer tire to get these, and there's the address there on the bottom that you can use to order those up. Moving on to accessories. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about the MDO restrictions and how some of the MDO items that we used to get on the vehicles at the port, some of them are either slow to get on or we're not able to put on for some reason. The Tiguan privacy cover is a very good example of that, and we've heard of many dealers that have taken the opportunity then to convert that, to put them in at the dealership and get the DIA numbers bumped up for the dealership to help them with their accessory bonus. Just coordinate that with your sales team, know what's in your stores, know what's going out that week, meet with your sales manager maybe once a week. But also our FOM has a DIA opportunity tool that you can buy the VIN. You can see in your stores which vehicles would have normally had MDO items that you can go ahead and replace with DIA. This is a great time to freshen up your accessory displays, not only your new vehicles in the showroom, but driver gear is a great way to complement your displays there or in your boutique. We've got a lot of great items for spring and summer that your customers will love. Also some nice opportunities with dealer uniforms that can be dealer personalized and some promotional items. Just a reminder that everything that you order through driver gear, it does count as a DIA purchase. So just speaking of the accessories bonus, driver gear can help you along with that as well. Finally, here, the DIA marketing resources available here through the VW accessory catalog, online parts store, the accessory configurator, and just tons of assets that we have in Marketing IQ. Shown here is an example of an accessory on-demand tool that's fully customizable. It could be used as part of your introduction to after-sales process, to introduce your new vehicle customers to service, parts, and accessories. You can send customers an offer using the National DIA rebate, and even send customers right to your accessory configurator so they can explore all the different ways that they can personalize their Volkswagen. Last thing I'm going to leave you with is we do have our new PPB program, our Parts Performance Bonus. That is all new. It went live April 1st. It's the first major overhaul of the program in more than 10 years. But we've actually increased the bonus payout. Each quarter, you can now earn up to 6% back. There are a lot of new things that you'll need to know, but with all the new things comes new ways to earn PPB, especially for those of you that might have struggled with SSA in the past. One of the most notable changes is the auto part requirement. There are some minimum steps that you need to fulfill on your end for Q2 and Q3. Including perhaps a training requirement if you haven't done it. Please take a minute. If you're not live on Autopart, take a minute, go to the Parts on Command homepage to see what your enrollment status is. If you are already live on Autopart, there is nothing else for you to do right now. This is all new. PPB is essentially a combination of the old PPB and the DPB together. Retail purchases are still on the left-hand side of the matrix. Parts breadth and SSA remains on the right side, but now is combined with a sales outperformance metric. And again, that can help it make it easier for you to earn. We do have an addition of a loyalty kicker, which can help you earn an additional 1% regardless of your PPB performance. All of these items can be viewed in the Bonus IQ dashboard shown on the right there, where you can see your current performance, your forecast for the quarter, and then use a simulator to see where you may want to end up at the end of the quarter. For more information, you can access the help section of After Sales IQ by clicking on the question mark in any screen, the question mark on the top right-hand corner. That'll bring up a library of resources like you see there on the bottom of the page, including the official PPB rules, the webinar deck and the recording covering the new PPB as well. And as you can see there's some accessories, bonus, and SRB performance there as well. First quarter PPB was paid out last week. The accessories bonus is expected by the end of the week. And that together with the service retention bonus, we're paying Northeast Region dealers $5.4 million this quarter. That is a record payout. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Joe Kissinger. Joe is the director for RDC and PDC operations at our Cranberry, New Jersey location. Joe, take it away.
All right, thanks, Brian. Hello, folks. Good to be with you. As Brian said, Joe Kissinger in Cranberry, New Jersey. So I've been with the company for about 25 years, 7 years prior to that behind a retail counter at a Volkswagen store in Northern Virginia. So happy to be here. Took over the PDC side of the operation at the beginning of March. Prior to that, I had been running just the RDC side. Those of you who know, it's two operations inside 1 million square foot building. So since taking over, I've learned that, and a lot of you knew this already, that we have some work to do on the PDC side. It's going to be a common theme throughout these couple of slides. One of them is quality, and on the internal warehouse quality side of what we call chargeable, meaning what the employees are responsible for, like mispicks, shortages, zeros. We have a lot of work to do. Our metric is 0.59 errors per thousand. So I won't use too many nerdy warehouse terms, but that's a target we're shooting for, that we're missing by almost double the metric. So we've employed not only the countermeasures below, but some others internally to try and get this back in line and into where you expect it. Chargeable claims at the end of the day for somebody behind a retail counter are just like a damage claim, right? You don't have what you need to take care of the customer. So we need to get better at that. And that means looking in, that means training, that means coaching, that means some remedial steps by some of the employees on the floor. It means slotting the warehouse a little better to prevent some of these errors that are occurring at the time they arrive at your store. And it means understanding the root causes of all these issues, why they're happening, how do we prevent it from happening again, and develop consistent, repeatable processes around avoiding those root causes. So go to the next slide. Part and parcel of that quality piece is also damage. Not doing horribly on damage, but still outside the metric, which is 1.0 errors per thousand. So we've since implemented individual targets for employees. So we're holding them accountable to a metric personally, not just the building and not just me. We've implemented some network packaging standards, especially around bumper covers, which tend to be the higher damage items we ship out, as well as some other bulky items in terms of plastic parts, grills, radiator core supports, those types of things, as well as transitioning to shipping freight in cages only. So a lot of dealers are receiving knockdowns or gaylords, as they're called. They're harder to move around. They're harder for drivers to manage at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're harder to drag across a gravel drive with a pallet jack at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So cages is where we're going. It also gives us the ability to use some of the height of the trailer, reducing some of the capacity concerns we have and some of the concerns that I know many of you have about us leaving freight on the dock. So it gives us better trailer utilization out to the stores and avoid some of the delays that we're currently creating for you, as well as loading standards, not only for the employees on the floor, but also our partner Penske in terms of how they manage those assets. And lastly, We are deep in the midst of relaying out the dock to organize the freight a little bit better and more. It's more organized, not only for the team dropping the freight, my team dropping the freight, but also for Penske to load it, putting it in load sequence so that it's an easier load for Penske. It becomes then an easier unload for the driver again in the middle of the night. So again, a lot of work to do on the in-house side of it. If we go to the next slide. Also, a lot of work to do with our partners. These are the folks that you guys interact with most on a day-to-day basis. And there are a number of issues, including equipment failure, route capacity, which I just mentioned, some driver absenteeism, which creates an issue of, let's call it non-optimal drivers delivering freight to your stores who are not familiar with the stop, not familiar with the delivery process. Damage created by the way Penske loads, created by the way Penske delivers the freight to your stores. Some of the asset management and tracking that they have essentially fallen down on. That means we're sending freight in non-optimal conditions or non-optimal assets to your stores. And then the freight recycling or redelivery of freight that was intended for tonight, for whatever reason, it doesn't make it to the proper store. It ends up coming back to a domicile point in Penske's network, or it comes all the way back to Cranberry and has to be redelivered today. None of those issues help you at the end of the day. None of those are what we or where we need them to be in terms of our delivery expectations with Penske. All of those areas are being addressed. Countermeasures exist on the Penske side for all of those 6 topics. It's been escalated to the highest levels of Penske's management last week. So I know it's a problem. I know it's an issue. I know we're not helping you guys when these deliveries fail or don't meet your expectations in one way or another. And I know that the in-house quality that we're delivering is not where it needs to be. So this is my 2 things, my way of introducing myself to all of you. Also a way to say, I know we have issues. I know we're not meeting expectations. I'm aware of the topics, and we've employed countermeasures at every topic to try and get a handle on this and get back to where we need to be so that you can take care of the customers the way we need you to take care of them. That's what I have. So I'll hang out again for questions at the end. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. And up comes Amory.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the technical portion of the webinar. I'd like to start by thanking all who took the time to send these pre-submitted questions for our review. So with that said, let's get into them. First up, we have, is there an update on Tiguan oil consumption issues? Understandably, we have some that have multiple symptoms. Starting on startup, they fail the consumption test, but then we have those that don't smoke and are marginal as far as the consumption test goes. On this, the short answer is no, we don't have an update. But it seems that the comments in the question, you guys are on the right track of the diagnosis side of things. What I would do is continue to look at the breather system on these vehicles, as well as the valve guide stem seals. And with the ones that pass the consumption test, but again, need that core every 2,000 to 3,000 miles, have a discussion with your QTM. And prior to doing so, you might as well look at the breather system and the stem seals on those cases as well. As soon as we get more information on this topic, we will let you all know. Next up, what positive or negative impacts can we expect from the D3 Edge Box? Well, the D3 Edge Box is being phased in because of the update file sizes that we have you guys doing vehicle updates with. These file sizes are moving from megabyte size to gigabyte size range, and are ultimately clogging up the mirror server that I believe is in Auburn Hills. The D3 box will allow you to store updates on site versus having to download them from this mirror server, creating much faster vehicle updates. It will no longer bottleneck. So I can't really see a negative side of having this D3 Edge box. I think it's going to make everybody's life much simpler. VW maintenance intervals need to be simplified. The example given is for 80K spark plugs are listed as 6 years or 80K miles. Should these be claimed at the 60K 6-year service or 80K? Well, we certainly agree with you, and we've pushed this question up to the responsible department, and I'll have to apologize. I do not have an answer for this question thus yet, but we will follow up. Next slide, thanks. Atlas front brake pad noise. Yeah, the new pad is in final approval, but unfortunately we do not have a timeline for its release. So again, more to come on that. Speaking of pads, knowing that VW has offered extended warranty on the rear brake pads for Taos and Jetta, has anything been discussed about offering a longer wearing brake pad instead of just the same ones that the customers have to repeatedly replace? So a new pad composition is in testing, and its projected release will be at the end of the year. As far as the warranty side of this question, the extension, is concerned, we've heard nothing yet on this topic. Excellent question in regard to the cost of a lease, as yeah, we don't want anybody having to put pads on a lease vehicle. So more to come on that as well. Is there any chance of getting a technician council formed in the future? Well, the Technician Advisory Committee was supported by After Sales in Auburn Hills and not the Academy. The Academy would support the return of this initiative, but it comes down to funding, as we'll talk about in the next question. I would suggest that you all push this to your council members to get it ramped up. Why were so many learning centers closed, and what happened to the instructors? As I believe Scott Weissman touched earlier, this was an executive decision that was made as part of the long-term strategic mission. 2 instructors have retired, and the remaining headcount has been allocated to the learning centers where new training cells are being added, to Scott's earlier point again. Next slide, please. What is the incentive of becoming a master VW technician currently? Also for keeping a master certification for multiple years? Well, this kind of should answer itself, in my opinion. Having a master VW tech within your repair department should provide a peace of mind to your customer. The concern is being addressed by the best you have, which I believe goes a long way for your customer base. We hope that you as dealers value your master technicians and promote them to your customer base and recognize the time and effort that they put forward to obtain and retain their status. 2021 Tiguan front lower control arm bushings wear and 3.6 liter VR6 front crank seals leaking. Well, the Tiguan control arm bushing topic is new for the QTM side, and I'll explain why. I think you all have been seeing this, is what I gathered. These repairs, commonly, we don't see them, we don't get involved because it's handled by you guys. So what we need and what we're asking from you, your service department, is collect some VINs for us, contact your QTM, and if you see something, say something type of thing, so that we can push this topic on our side. Without any VINs or mileage, unfortunately, we're dead in the water. As far as the crankshaft front seal leaking on the VR6 Atlas, I believe that we are aware of this. There was a PCC, priority customer concern, that was opened on this topic, and they have made the corrections on the assembly line with, I believe, the seal installment. Okay, moving forward, why did we take the ability to actuate sensors from via self-diag? Sometimes the GFFs will not actuate the correct sensor? This is an interesting question. We are looking into this to get you an answer. We were unaware of the changes that were made to eliminate the output DTM feature. Why is it so hard to search TSBs and faults by VIN? You can be in a VIN in ELSA and then in VW Google the fault and find stuff for a 2007 GTI when you're working on a 23 Atlas. It doesn't line up with the cars that we were working on. So my question to you is, are you guys using ELSA to go? If you're not, we recommend doing so because the search function is much better than the one used in ELSA Pro. We haven't found many instances where TBs do not populate for that given VIN. When we do, the ELSA to go team feedback quickly gets that corrected. Okay. Why so many test plans just infinitely loops and go nowhere? Example is the evap test plan that has you start up the engine and keeps going back and forth. Well, this, and much like a lot of the Otis issues that we've been seeing recently, please ensure that you guys are sending Otis feedbacks. This is huge and it's being monitored constantly. Doing so does two things. The first thing is we help identify the issue. And the second thing is to get you guys get paid by warranty. So if you do a feedback and you put it in your notes, you're covered even though that test plan failed. Frequent updates that we see now, sometimes twice a week, that's what's driving them, is the Otis feedback. So I can't stress the importance behind doing that. It's how we're getting this stuff fixed. Also, okay, part two, when are we going to address the labor times for the 69 FB recall and the ID4's inconsistent repair procedures? 69 FB time study is actually currently being conducted by the campaigns team. More information to follow on that. And unfortunately, we need more specifics on this ID4 repair procedures, plural, that are inconsistent. We need more details on what you're finding inconsistent. And with that, I think that concludes your pre-submitted questions, and thank you for your time, and back to you, John. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Amory. Great job. Well, guys, you can see that the pre-submitted questions we take seriously, and Amory and Chris do a fantastic job researching them. And certainly when it's of a technical nature, it's helpful to get those in advance so we can make sure to do the right thing. So we know, matter of fact, the one on the pods recall, you know, the concern with the time, it was the concern or the vocalization from our dealer network that you know, had us push back on what is going on there, and can we do the time study, and can we get a video of it. So I can't guarantee the video is going to happen, but I do know that the time study is in process. So we need your feedback. Hey, as we get ready to wrap it up and move into the questions and answers, here's the the call to action, which says, listen, let's keep this business simple. We can complicate the hell out of it, but if we stay focused on what is it that you're doing to differentiate yourself in the market, what are the three areas? What are you doing to attract new customers? What are you doing to maximize once they're in the store? And what are you doing to retain them? So from an attraction standpoint, Victor talked about after sales marketing and the campaigns that are out there, the 94% engagement rate. We can show you the return on investment for each of those campaigns. We can show you the revenue generated. So, what are you doing to attract? Do you have a service BDC? Are you working that list? Folks, we know that we're down across the nation over 500,000 VINs out of warranty. And so we know that the largest defection happens when people leave warranty. And so therefore, own your owner base, own your market, control your backyard, as Cindy Maureen used to say. And so what are you doing to attract and keep those customers coming back? Maximizing once they're in the drive. Folks, we see some dealerships that have got 1.4 hours per repair order and others that are at 3.5. Each tenth of a repair order matters. And so, what are you doing to maximize once that car's in the drive? Are you doing the walk around? tech video is absolutely crucial. Audi, it's a requirement, and it's a customer satisfaction question. Did you receive a video from the technician giving you a thorough overview of your vehicle? We certainly believe that and support it. It's not mandatory at this time for Volkswagen, but I will tell you, I think that it should be. So, what are you doing to maximize once that customer's in the drive? And then retaining loyal customers, as mentioned, with the number of people that are out of warranty, that's a challenge. We know that there's also been a pretty significant shift in demographics, people moving south. The upside, Patrick Coyle began in the very opening of the session that we were 28% of the nation. We got down to 21. We're clawing our way back. Folks, the challenge is there was about 3 years there where when you look at a 7-year VIO pattern, we were dropping numbers that were in the 60,000 range. And I'm sorry, we were dropping vehicles in the 80,000 range for the region and replacing them in the 60s. So there certainly is a challenge that's there. So again, what are you doing to retain your loyal customers? Which then takes me over to create a workplace that your employees desire. Listen, we have heard nothing but positive feedback about the tech retention program and how well that it has done, and the techs that were looking for that, last year. Well, guess what? In about 6 months, there's going to be a heck of a payout on that, right? $5K. So, what are you doing for your dealerships? Pay is part of it, but the rest of it is leadership, feedback to the employees, respect for them, respect for their time, recognition. It really is more than money. Money certainly helps pay the bills, but there's more to it than that. So with that, the next slide should show the Service and Parts Council members. We can't begin to thank them enough for all that they do. Tyler and Susan do a fantastic job on National Council. They're constantly seeking your feedback. I know they reach out. They don't get a lot of you responding back to them. They are fantastic about making sure that their issues are not personal, but it's everything that is from the areas that they're overseeing. So please make sure that you're providing that. We also want to welcome Shannon. Shannon is joining the council from Hudson Valley Volkswagen. So Shannon, welcome aboard. We're looking forward to having you join. Also, folks, you can see there's a couple of lines there with TBD. So the areas of M and N. So Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Maine, folks, we need a representative from that area. And then when we look at 1T and V, so 1T is going to be the west side of Ohio, as well as Pittsburgh and down through West Virginia. So folks, please, we're looking for someone to represent the council and make sure that all the areas are covered. And when you look at the Parts Advisory Council, we're looking for a representative from 1E, which is Northern New Jersey, 1G, which is going to be Manhattan and Long Island and the Bronx, and then 1H, which is Western Upstate New York. So after that, we've got, you can see the folks that are there with Brian Alexander as well, Eric Sanders, 3 Brians, holy cow, and then Steve Fisher as well from MAG. So there's your Service and Parts Council, folks. Please keep that information coming to them. That's what helps drive getting your issues, maybe that are local, escalated to the nation. And so with that, we're going to open it up to, should be the panelists for Q&A. And so you can see who's there. Patrick has stayed with us. Joe Kissinger did a fantastic job just saying very transparently what's going on inside of the PDC and what countermeasures are in place. Scott will stay with us, and then you can see the rest of the team that's here. So with that, candidly, guys, the questions are kind of small this month. Amory did a fantastic job addressing the technical issues. Scott, I think there was one that was in there for you to address. Is that a fair game for you?
Sure, John. I responded to it in the chat as well. Thanks to Amory, who was fielding, or you guys collectively, a multitude of questions, including the Academy. So I appreciate you guys covering us there. But we're moving as quickly as we can. We need to get techs in there. I think going back to the question that was pre-submitted, we are not reducing the number of technical instructors that we have across the country. We've got folks traveling around already to fill in on classes where we may have lost an instructor recently. So we're doing our best to bring those folks up to speed and offer as many classes as we can. I mean, I'll be completely honest, as I generally am. I was with the NDAC as well. I can't tell anybody here or anywhere else that we're exactly going to offer X number of classes in this particular location by a certain date. it's just, again, very fluid. We're doing our best. The intention is ultimately to be able to offer the classes that are most in demand and required for the dealers to ensure their folks are certified and ensure the dealership is certified according to the right levels. And John and Joe and I are chatting in the background as well. So we're making sure that the classes that have been identified and in demand and we don't have enough supply for, we'll find a way. We'll fly people around the country. We'll get those classes up and running for you guys as quickly as we can.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Hey, Joe Kissinger. So there's a question here from Dennis. Dennis T says, hey, I may have missed it, but I saw the issue slide with Penske, but I missed what VW is actually doing to correct these problems. Joe, are you able to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So starting from the top, one of the bigger issues is equipment failure. So Penske is replacing about 19 53 and 48-foot trailers that leave Cranberry. They have new tractors ordered for various routes north of us, out of some of the domicile points, as well as a number of new 28-foot pups that make the last mile deliveries. So the big piece of it is equipment failures. They have agreed to expand the roster of floater drivers. So they're drivers on site. They're Penske trained Penske employees that will run through all of the routes and essentially be able to fill in as call it a certified Penske driver wherever there's an issue, instead of having to go to to some kind of a lease driver or like a temporary fill-in driver, or worse yet, some kind of owner-operator type situation where they don't know the routes, don't understand the expectations at all. Sometimes that's the choice they have. On the capacity side, they owe us, and they're working on it, their route engineers, proposals to alleviate the congestion and the overcapacity issues on about 6 routes that are just a kind of a perennial issue. We'll get the proposal and see what we need to do about it, whether that's creating additional routes, whether that's creating some kind of a local route. When I say local, maybe within a 50 or 60 mile radius of the PDC, to relieve some of the congestion that those dealers create on the other routes that are going further afield. I think those cover the and as well, they're working on processes training and retraining on some of the scanning issues that are creating the freight recycling to occur much more than it typically would, including going with a new manifest label. It's about a 4x6 like UPS sized label that will identify this freight and make it easier for them to either deliver or redeliver for the driver. It's a much easier, clearer indicator for a driver in the middle of the night to know where that freight goes. So that's in the process of being implemented currently.
Good. Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Hey, gang. So listen, we know about half the parts stay inside of your dealership. The other half go out. And so you've got folks that are at your store, I don't know, 5:36, 6:37 in the morning with trucks that are waiting on these parts to come in. And so Joe's been very clear that hey, listen, we've got overloaded routes, and there's no doubt about it. And that's something we need to to do better with. And trust me, they're working on it. We also know some of you are recognize that your workshop business is flat. Maybe it's growing a little bit, but maybe it's contracting. But you're looking at your non-workshop side. You're looking at the independent repair facilities. You're looking at some of the other. You're growing your non-workshop side. And so you've set up an alternate or a secondary location for parts to be delivered. All of that we have to submit and get approved through Joe and John Cutts and our folks in Auburn Hills. We want the business, there's no doubt. And so, listen, it may be an additional $60 million operation for what you're doing, and we may be, 600,000 of that, or maybe we're $1 million of that, which is fantastic. But the message is we pull together the business case for that. There's a form that we have to get filled out and routed, and then the hard work comes in for John and for Joe, in which to decide how do we have to allocate and make changes so that, again, we're not leaving parts on the dock at night to accommodate the additional business that you're fighting for and earning. So please keep that stuff coming, and know that I just told Joe the other day, this is the happiest that I've been with where we are with our PDC operation, and I'm just so thankful for what he is doing there. So thanks for that. Hey, I also want to touch a little bit, and I told the team I wouldn't, but candidly, it annoys me a little bit when I see a question about, hey, listen, why should we have a master tech? And I go back to, guys, we're retail. And so I ask you I get it. We're running an automotive operation. It's still retail. 2 nights ago, I was at a place here in Michigan, Weingart's. It was about 7 o'clock. I'm looking for a couple of nozzles for my pressure washer and an O-ring. And they had 7 service consultants still working the desk at 7 o'clock at night. They had everything in there from zero turn mowers to bobcats to pressure washers to just push mowers and whatever else. Impressive as hell facility. They've got probably 4 or 5 of them here in Michigan. And what was up there as well is the repair facility and the list of the technicians that are there, and then those that are certified by Kubota or by, I didn't realize DeWalt is selling zero turn mowers now. And so I got to tell you, I just think it's absolutely impressive, when they're open at 7 o'clock at night, and they were blowing and going. I had to wait in line to get to a service consultant, but they had all of the credentials up of their technicians. And early next month, I'm going to be getting my boat out of service in upstate New York and Lake George, and I'm going to see my friend Bob Paladrani. I know that I need a water pump because when we pulled it last fall, he told me it's leaking. We'll do it for you in the spring. And I'm going to make damn sure that Jay Fertino, Master Tech for Volvo, is the one who puts the water pump in. And so, guys, I think there's a hell of a lot of value in Master Tech. I think there's a lot of value in making sure that your employees are growing and wanting to be the best. And I think having that stuff properly displayed in the service drive or in the lounge or wherever for your customers to see helps build trust and helps build the value for why we're at $154 per hour for labor. And the reason for that is you've got 1, 2, or 3 master techs that have got 34, 35, 40 years of experience, and sell the value proposition of that. So I'm sure I came off kind of barky and maybe even a little bitchy, but the bottom line is there's a hell of a lot of value out there for master techs, and just encourage you to look at it. Again, you are retail and we are retail, and it goes beyond just automotive repair. So with that,
thanks, John. Hey, John, this is Joe. This is Joe Masheri. I just wanted to kind of clear something up, and this is on me for not providing the latest and greatest on the Northeast Region Service Council. I think Brian Ali had shared what that was and what our council looked like, and we had a few openings. I just wanted to clear this up for everybody. And when we send out the deck, we'll have the updated file on there. But Area 1M and 1N, which is essentially New England. We do have a current council member for that market. His name is Roy Medeiros. He's out of Tracy Volkswagen, and he was just announced recently. So currently at this time, we're in the final phases of confirming Shannon Walters out of Hudson Valley for, I think it was Area 1J. But the only opening we have right now is actually for Area 1R and 1T, which is the Ohio market, and we're looking to fill that space. So we'll be working with the FOMs there to fill that as well. So I just wanted to clear that up. My apologies. I'm going to take 100% of the responsibility for that file not being updated, but I just wanted to get that out there to the entire team. So, and again, I'll just call out, thank you very much for our councils and what they do for us. So thank you. Go ahead, John.
Yep, thanks, Joe. Hey, so 3 more questions came in, and Dennis is saying, hey, listen, my real question, I guess, what are we supposed to tell our customers when parts are continually late? I received my first delivery last week on Thursday from Volkswagen. And Dennis, I think I remember your case and situation clearly. Guys, listen, it's tough. I completely understand. What are you supposed to tell them? And when it's day in or day out. And the message here is to make sure that you're properly and professionally communicating. I'm not saying that you weren't, but from time to time we get some messages in that are full of frustration, and I completely get it and understand. However, I will say that Joe and his team do an incredible job at the PDC, and they've made changes on the dock. They've made changes in the way that parts are being picked. They acknowledge that parts are being left, and unfortunately being left daily. But just ask you again, we're being very transparent with you. We understand the position that you're in, and I don't have the magic word phrase in which to provide to you, Dennis, that says, hey, what are you supposed to tell them? We just keep providing the feedback to us as to when they're late, and I promise that that Joe is on top of it. So the next one down is from John, and he says, hey, I think the GPU should have an age limit, i.e. when we replace an engine or a transmission on a car that's 10 to 15 years old. And then John's got a follow-up to that. GPU and SSAs are hard to hit when Atlas brakes and Atlas air filters are on back order. And John, agree 100%. I share that with, I don't know that they're hard to hit. However, it certainly does impact it. There's no doubt about it. We're trying not to live right on the razor thin edge of what that number happens to be. But when you consider the Atlas, we sell in tens of thousands of vehicles, and it's it's not an Arteon or something that's a much smaller volume. And when you can't get the air filters, it's unacceptable. I completely agree. More work is being done in which to source some of these filters here locally, i.e. in the States. We know that, let's talk a little bit about MDO and about privacy covers. We've had to strip some vehicles of privacy covers. It's not because they're not built, it's getting them through customs in Mexico. So the reason I share that is it may be that we don't have the filter. It may be that it's stuck at customs. Each one of these is a bit unique, but I will say we share this with Katie Mantkis and her team all the time, that, commodities, not having the left wiper for a Tiguan, but yet we've got 3,500 white wipers. It just doesn't make sense. So, but it's the stuff that they do and work with on a regular basis. And so, John, I appreciate you sharing it. We are aware of those examples of commodities and being a challenge from time to time. One of the concerns that I raised from the beginning is on this brake and the rotor flash sale is let's make sure that we first have the parts available, because I think if you remember about 3 flash sales ago, they were back ordered and we didn't have it, and so it was obviously embarrassing as hell. Well, this time John Young and Troy and their team worked with Katie and with Brock to make sure that, hey, here's the numbers that we want to, the part numbers of those that we want to consider in the flash sale, and can you tell us what the volume looks like? And so that we're much better thought out with how that works. And then, all right, what do we do that, listen, we don't want you just to purchase those, but we want, additional sales. And so, what's the marketing that goes behind it? And so, Victor and again, our team in Herndon are looking at and working on that as well. So, John, your point is well made. Brian Ali, is there anything there on GPU that I've missed?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the the example that he's giving of an engine on an old car, on a 10 to 15-year-old car. I mean, we understand that sometimes you will need to go outside of Volkswagen to source parts, and that's probably a good example, especially if insurance is involved. The GPU is a measure of 12 months on a rolling average. So we're not looking at just what you did, this past month or what have you. It's basically an overall snapshot of what you're doing for purchases over the year. So a once in a while purchase like that, will there be a little bit of a dip? Perhaps, but it shouldn't be enough to harm you. And you do have tools again in the After Sales IQ portal that will help you to monitor that. And if you have any further questions, you can send me a note directly.
Good, thanks, Brian. Hey, this is it's somewhat related, but when Brian mentioned parts and availability stuff. So we're seeing more and more challenges with customers where the vehicle's been involved in an accident, and the insurance company is now saying, "Hey, we're not going to provide original OEM parts. They're going to go and get whatever aftermarket, or go to LKQ and source something." And so one that came up here recently was an engine. So the vehicle the customer had new, it's got less than 2,000 miles on it. Involved in an accident, and they source a used engine. Folks, that's something that you need to have a lot of conversation with your service consultants on, that they need to be aware that, when they do that, there's no factory warranty on that used engine. And so those type of conversations, you've got to do some role playing and some training with your service consultants to make sure that if they're interacting with the insurance company on this type of thing, that they're having those discussions with them as to what that could do to the customer, down the road. So again, it's just all part of the training that's being requested. I will say, in my opinion, that type of training is out of any manufacturer's responsibility. That really is something that you and your dealer group need to look at. But it does go to show the complexity of the service consultant's role today versus what it has been years ago, where you were doing 20, 25 repair orders a day, and now it's 10 to 12, maybe 15, because of the number of contacts that this service consultant has to make, whether it's with an insurance company or whatever it may be, or closing out the repair order, or to follow some state statutes and things. So just sharing, again, what we've seen and got to be mindful of, and some of the challenges that are out there with warranty as well. So all right, with that, folks, there aren't any additional questions. I'll circle back to my team. Anybody, Scott or Joe or Brian or Amory, anything else that you guys would like to add?
Not from my side.
I think we're good.
Okay. All righty. With that, folks, listen, again, keep the business straightforward. It's challenging and complicated enough. What are you doing to attract, maximize, and retain? And then what is the same thing with your employees? So what are you doing to attract new employees? Is your facility clean? You saw that in the JD Power mention that more than once about having a clean place to work and professional and things of that nature. And then what are you doing to recognize them throughout the process, more than compensation? And then, what does your retention policy look like? We know that a lot of you have your own retention policies in place. And some of you, I know one that after 25 years that the employee gets a new vehicle. So granted, that is the exception, that's above and beyond. But if you don't have anything in place, it's something to look at. So the attract, the maximize, and the retain, it applies to employees in the dealership as well to your customers. And please, let's do everything you can to assist with that. And then the last thing is keep the feedback coming. So appreciate the questions on GPU, appreciate the concerns on what is it we tell the customers when the parts aren't available for the second or the third time in the week. And you got to keep that feedback coming to us in a professional manner. And trust me, we'll run that out and we'll make sure that we'll get an answer back to you. So with that, have a great rest of the quarter, and we'll be talking. Thanks for your time today. See ya.